Welcome, everyone. I would like to call this Committee of the Whole meeting on Tuesday, April 9th at 4:01 p.m. to order. May we have roll call, please?
Benajak,
Present.
Radke. Here. Nemec.
Here.
Herrick.
Here.
Begich.
Here.
Quorum present.
Excuse Poyer and
Poyer and
Millette.
they'll be excused. Thank you. Would everyone rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you want to make a motion to excuse?
Yes. You want to say it now or not?
Well, I just need you to request it, a motion to excuse it.
I want to have a motion to excuse Colleen and Dennis.
He made
that
a
ready?
motion, I'll support it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there any changes to the agenda? That's
Yes.
fine.
We need to add a presentation equalization report by Keegan Bingle. I'd like to put it at the beginning, right after petitions and communications.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay.
Support, whatever it's supposed to
Okay.
do.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we need approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Support?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. There's no minutes from last month's meeting, we didn't have one, and now this is for public input. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to come forward? Please come. Going once,
Mr. Campbell looks like he's interested in doing it, but
going
hesitant.
twice. Public input is closed. Okay, petitions and communications. Tegan for the Equalization Department.
So today I have got the 2024 equalization report. So basically, I've got the equalization report, then I put together this PowerPoint to kind of act as a tool to explain the equalization report to help walk through it. The first page here is the equalization department. That is Jennifer, who's in charge of tax mapping and legal descriptions, Jeff, who is our senior appraiser, and myself, who is the director. And so before diving into the equalization report, I wanted to kind of walk through last year's equalization cycle just to give a little bit of information as to what we do and how we get to the point of the equalization report. And feel free to stop me at any time with any questions or anything like that, or if I'm going too fast, or if I'm putting anybody to sleep, just let me know. So basically, the equalization starts after equalization in April, this report basically. So we start by reviewing and verifying sales in each class of property throughout the county. Townships and cities that have enough sales will undergo a sales study, and townships and cities without enough sales will undergo an appraisal study. And I have a slide here in a sec that'll cover the differences between the two. But the table here shows the amount of sales that we used for sales studies, and then the amount of appraisals that we completed in each class of property, and then shows the percent of each class that we studied for this year. So we completed 69 total studies. In the ag class, we did 13 appraisal studies. The commercial class had 2 sales studies, 17 appraisal studies. The industrial class had 18 appraisal studies, and residential had 19 sales studies. So before going into what's a sales study versus an appraisal study, I just wanted to cover real quick what a sales assessment ratio is. Basically, this is just the ratio that's created when the assessed value, which is 50% of the true cash value, is divided by the sale price. So basically, that means For example, the assessor, if they place an assessment of $48,000 on a piece of property, that's 50% of the true cash value, so they're saying, I think this property is worth $96,000. If that property then sells for, let's say, $100,000, the sales ratio is calculated as $48,000 divided by $100,000 equals 0.48 or 48%. Basically, what you're shooting for is 50%. 50% sales ratio means that the assessor's value is coming right in line with what that property sold for. A ratio below 50%, like for example the 48%, that means the assessor needs to raise their values just a little bit to get in line with the market. A ratio above 50% means they need to lower their values. So this right here is an example of a sales study. As you can see on the left side, we have the parcel number, then the class, the sale date, the library and page, then the instrument, that WD means warranty deed, and then the terms of sale, which is arm's length, and then all the way over on the right-hand side, that's where our ratio is, and that's the number we're looking to get to with all these sales. So basically, we comb through thousands of sales like this to find these sales that we classify as arm's length, meaning that we think these sales are a good representation of the market. In our research, we didn't find anything that would tell us these sales aren't a good representation. So at the bottom, you can see the time period of what the sales study was, how many sales we studied, and then for this particular sales study, in the very bottom right, you can see that the total ratio is a 41.39%, which is pretty typical of residential sales studies all over the state. Everything just keeps on rising, and this is basically telling us that sales in this area are selling for approximately 18% higher than what the assessor has them valued at. So when we don't have enough sales in a unit, we create an appraisal study, which basically is a fake sales study. So we take a random selection of parcels throughout the township, and then we go out, we collect the data on them, and then we value the data. We create a land value study, an economic condition factor study, all looking to create an appraisal value for that property, basically saying, if this property sold today, this is what we think it would sell for. And so we take that fake sale price and then we compare it to the assessment on the property, and that gets us our ratio in an appraisal study. So for the example on the screen, at the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that this appraisal study came out to a 47% total. So appraisal study is not as great as a sales study, but when you simply don't have the data, you have to create that study somehow. So continuing along, basically we go out and we do all these appraisals, we do these sales studies, and when we have the data that we need, we put all of this into the report called the L4018, and that's what's shown on the screen here. So basically the only thing I want to talk about on this report is the third column from the right, the percent ratio assessment to appraisals. That's that ratio that I'm referring to on the studies. So you can see in the ag class there, they had a 46.93 this year, basically saying that you need to bump up your values just slightly to get closer to 50%. So we take that 4018, we send it to the assessor saying, here's your ratios for each class of property, and this is where you need to go. And then in turn, the assessor makes those adjustments and they give us what's called the L4023. This is shown on the screen here in that snippet. Basically, the state requires, or state law requires that the ending ratio be between 49 and 50%. So basically you could see in the also third column from the right on the 4023 in the percent ratio column, you could see the 46.93% that we gave that township. They made some adjustments, and then the bottom ending ratio is 49.58. So that means their database has been equalized. We can see that they took the numbers that we gave them, they made the changes, and their data is now in line with what the market's showing. So does this all make sense so far? Okay, good. Sorry. All right, so like I said, the equalization studies are usually started after equalization is completed in April, And then these results are due to the assessors by December 1st. We typically shoot for November 1st to get them to the assessors, just because it starts the conversation a little earlier with them of, here's what we're showing for your values. Do you agree? Do you disagree? We don't really pretend to know the assessors' townships better than they do. So being able to start that conversation a little earlier just makes everything a little more accurate. And then the forms listed there are the forms we use to complete the equalization studies, but I won't read through all those and put anybody to sleep. And then this slide is just additional functions that the equalization department covers throughout the year. I don't want to go into all of these because that would take a really long time, but I just wanted to more cover the equalization studies, as I think that plays a much larger role in the equalization report. But if anybody has any questions or wants to talk about any of these functions or reports, feel free. I'm more than happy to talk about any of them.
Township. Went up quite a bit.
Yeah, yep, there's a,
Who the-
definitely had some
were the top
increases going
dogs.
on.
10%.
Yeah,
And also, so the bottom line is 6.98% increase on our taxable.
yep.
Taxable?
Yeah, yep, and I have a slide in here too of how that translates into the different millages and what that basically means for 1 mill throughout Bay County.
Yeah.
So, getting into the actual equalization report, this is the letter I included in the report. I won't read through this since it's already in there, but basically that just lists that, or says that the report's ready for adoption and approval, and it lists the county equalized value that's recommended for 2024. So these are the recommended equalized values that are on the L4024. That's on pages 5 through 7 in the report. I won't read through all of those, but if you want to take a look at those, you can. And then that's ending total is the recommended county equalized value. The L4024 is a, this is basically like the signature sheet of the report. This is the report that gets signed by the board certifying that the assessed and equalized values have been approved. And then that report's submitted by our department to the state to show them that county equalization has been completed. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the commercial class in Essexville had to receive a factor this year of 0.97181. And so this is kind of referring back to that 4023 that I was talking about. On the next slide here, this is the 4023 that we received from the city of Essexville. And basically you can see that their ending ratio was a 59.45%. So the equalization department is required to apply the factor of 0.97181 to this ending ratio to make sure that the values come in line with state law, basically. So this is something that we really try hard to avoid, but we didn't know that the assessment ratio was at this 51.45 till after the values were finalized by the March board of review. Typically this is caught at a pre-board review audit, but we did not have the opportunity to look at the database prior to the board of review. So I just want to make sure that it's not overly clear in the 4024 in the equalization report that this town class received a factor. So I wanted to make sure to point it out directly that this is what happened. This is why we had to apply this factor, just so it's not missed. So moving back one slide, there were no other factors given, but basically this factor will be applied to each parcel in the commercial class, and they will be lowered by that factor amount. So pages 8 through 13 of the equalization report show the 2023 values compared to the 2024 values and the percent changes. And then I just put this little table together to show the percent change of each value in each class. So as you can see, the residential assessed value really jumped up by 14.09%. So did the commercial personnel. The industrial personnel took quite a drop. But overall, for the entire county, the assessed value increased by 10%, and the taxable value increased by almost 7%. So, and then with the taxable value is restricted by the cap value formula. Basically means that the taxable value can only go up by the rate of inflation every year. But, so the rate of inflation this year set by the state was about 5%, but with seeing 7%, that just means that properties are selling, parcels are uncapping, new property is being added to properties more than values taken away, kind of thing. So that extra 2% you see beyond the 5% means that's just growth. So this is a table taken from page 14 of the equalization report to show the value breakdown for the county. You can see that's primary residential. This shows the taxable and equalized value trends since 2008. This is on page 16. This basically converts the this year's taxable value to an estimate of what each millage would generate. And this is just an estimate. It's not taking into account some of the, like each township has different exemptions and things like that. So, but it's should be a pretty close estimate. And so, and on the bottom there shows what this taxable value would generate for 1 mil. Then on, to conclude the report on pages 18 through 36, this is just a more in-depth breakdown of each township, showing the 2023 values, the 2024 values, and the percent changes of each. So basically everything that's listed in the beginning of the report broken down into each township. The average increase was 10.14, so what we're seeing for the county total, and then the average taxable increase for each township was 6.29. And that concludes everything I have for the equalization report.
Jim?
Yeah, I don't have a question, Tegan. I just want to thank you for the outstanding job you're doing. And
Thank you.
Also, I know it's a small department, but the morale is really high.
Good.
And people really appreciate your, your continual oversight over
Thank you.
equalization department.
I appreciate that.
Doing a great job.
Yeah, I really enjoying it here, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry if I went through that kind of fast. I know that was a lot of information. Is there any questions or anything you'd like me to dive into a little deeper?
So we should be getting more money in, right?
Yeah, so the
Bottom line?
it's yeah, it's increasing, so the overall taxable value, yep. So,
I've got one question, Tegan. Based on the other counties around that you work with, how is ours compared to theirs?
pretty similar. I am the director also in Gratiot County, so they're a little bit farther away, but from what I see from there, from what I see from here, the counties in between, it seems like everybody's kind of on a similar increase level. Like I think with like Gratiot County, I believe their taxable value was a similar increase to ours. They had a bunch of new personal property, but taking that away, the market falls right in line with what everybody's seeing everywhere, kind of thing. So, and mostly it's the residential class not stopping to increase, basically.
Okay.
So just kind of getting ridiculous at this point. So.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Motion to receive.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries to receive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keegan. The next one we have is the Bay County Front of the Court, Office Reallocation by Attrition.
I'll move to receive.
Support.
Any discussion?
Point out that it's not a cost increase. There's no extra funds needed to do this, so that's
Okay.
always good.
Well, we've got Jennifer back here, if she wants to come up and talk about it, or to explain it. Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer Gwizdala with Front of the Court. Basically, we had an employee leave last December, and then we had another employee leave this current March last month. Circuit Court, who is our sister in the Gulf, they did this last year. They increased their tiers. Their sixes became sevens, or sixes became sevens, their sevens became 8. We couldn't do it at the time. We didn't have it in the budget. There wasn't money. So now with these employees that left, or moved and left, we have it available. So now we plan to do it to the rest of the union. We're moving our 6s to 7s and 7s to 8s. We would like to.
Is there a savings, I see?
There is a savings. We operate out of 2 funds. We have the general fund, and then we have the Front of the Court 215 fund. Way back when, Ms. Rosaticky saved a couple positions when we went through the budget cuts by using our 215 fund. We plan to use our general fund, and then anything, the general fund's going to stay the same. There's nothing that's going to go above and beyond that. We're going to use our 215 fund to make it clear across the board. So you won't see anything changed in the general fund.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Yvonne?
Do you assess fees for people coming in for, to see the judge or anything? Is there a
There
fee?
are court costs. There's service, for the Front of the Court, there's service fees and processing fees. We get like 50% of our service fees and a certain percentage of the processing fees, and then we some of them go to Circuit Court, some of them go to us. It all depends on what type of fee that's coming. And we have bench warrant fees as well.
Yeah, because we're still concerned about that May 1st deadline for the other courts to collect fees and the county being on the hook for it. So hopefully the legislators will get back to work and get something done.
Yeah, and the fees that we, through our, we have a very, of course, we always have to collect support first. But at the end of the day, after support's collected, we then are able to get the fees. So it's a little easier for our office to use our collection method when it comes to fees. Of course, we have to get it on the back end. So we might be talking 18 years down the road that we won't see them, but we do see them.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Jennifer.
Yes, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries. Bay County Fair Board, Fairgrounds Improvement and Date Request.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Yes, Tom?
All I can say is that we want to remember this, like 3 years ago, we used to have a lot of problems with the Fair Board. And in the last, I don't even remember how many years now, when they took it over, this other group, everything has improved so much. And even, I think you'd agree with that too. I mean, they tell you they have a plan and they stick to it, and the place is getting amazingly better, So the Fair Board has been really good for the last few years. And I would continue, I'm sure they're going to continue to do good things.
Thank you. Yes, Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let's say, compliment the Fair Board as well, and say that one of the better things the board did was extending the lifespan of the contract with the Fair Board for use of the fairgrounds out 15 years, because that made us eligible for grants, because on the annual renewal, we were ineligible basically for any state grants. So we're seeing improvements out there, and I certainly join all of you in complimenting the Fair Board and their vision, and they're kind of moving straight ahead and continuing to secure grant monies to improve the infrastructure at the fairgrounds.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
Yes, Kathy?
Thank you, Chairman. I also note that the board, Bay County Fair Board, they make applications for grant funding, so they're very focused through the Michigan Department of Agriculture and as well as the Gerstacker Foundation. So they're applying, and that's a really good thing too, that they're looking always to get funding.
Thank you. And I have to compliment the fairgrounds too. Since they've taken it over years ago, they've done a tremendous job out there. They had to get that extension in order to get grants. And that's one of the reasons why you extended it. So thank you, board, from before for doing it, but thank you, Mary Jo, for you and your group for doing a good job out there.
Plus, I'm sure they'll have their auction again this year, so we have to
Yes.
go out. And this is an election year, so we need all the elected people running for office to be out there and bid high.
I did.
Buy a cow.
I bought a turkey.
You bought a turkey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. Bay County Sheriff, replacement upgrade is Cellebrite Mobile Forensics UFED Touch 2.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? The sheriff's not here, he's out, he's pretty busy today.
You talked to him, right? You can give us an upgrade?
Basically, it's a machine that downloads all the stuff on cell phones. It's an upgrade, so that way, you know, the detectives have to, when they catch cell phones, they download it on there, and it brings everything out. So it's just an upgrade, what they want to do. So I don't think it's an additional money, it's all part of the budget. So, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. The Blue Cross Blue Shield inmate service contract.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Yes, Vaughn.
We're still working on the Medicaid for the people that are charged but not been sentenced, or, you know, they lose their Medicaid when they come in sometimes, and that's a problem. So then they go on Blue Cross, and that costs us money. And then after they get out, it's hard for them to get back on Medicaid. So that's at the national level. They've been working on that for quite a while to get the Medicaid to approve pre-sentencing people to stay on Medicaid and getting them back on Medicaid as soon as they get out. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. 911 Central Dispatch, the Vertiv Maintenance Agreement.
So moved.
Support.
Is there any discussion?
We have somebody here? Yes.
Yeah.
I always like to let them speak because they make the trip over here.
That's right.
Sir, so the Vertiv or UPS is a piece of equipment about the size of a large file cabinet that it really bridges the gap between main power outage and the generator spinning up. So the generator just doesn't start right away and give those critical systems power, especially our servers and local radio machines require constant power, so that UPS, similar to backup battery at somebody's personal home, except it just bridges that small gap between that power outage and the generator, and then switching back from the generator to main utility power. So Vertiv is a company that installed it for us years and years ago, and they've been maintaining it. With all the systems that it's on, it provides us about 10 minutes of power, which is typically more than enough to bridge that gap from the power outage to the generator.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Was that a couple of years ago where the power went out and the generator didn't work?
Yeah, and it's happened more frequent than it should. And the UPS did its job, so that's not the failure. But there are some things that we're looking at, especially in terms of the companies that are providing the services currently. We want to hold them to task because public safety is too critical of a component to not make a deliberate decisions and ensure that everything they're doing is the right way. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. Personnel Director, tuition reimbursement for Tegan, Grzegorczyk.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Yes, Kathy?
I was just checking on this about the class was 3 credits, and it's for diversity beyond traditional views, and that would be for deaf, correct? And it's a requirement. a requirement. Anyone exploring diversity?
Yes. I guess our question is, it's a decision that the college made, so we're just wondering why that's required for deaf training, to be a signer. But that was a decision by the college, and we can't overrule it, I guess, or change it. It just didn't seem like something was needed to be a signer, but maybe it is. I mean, you are dealing with people with medical conditions, so you probably need to, and diversity means a lot of things. I mean, it means not just, traditional things.
It said it was a requirement for the deaf studies program. It was through Delta. It just looked like a lot that I wouldn't think you would have to go through all of that. No, that.
We have to go through it for a medical license, and diversity training, and implicit bias training, and a lot of training.
Yeah.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries to receive. Juvenile home, full-time supervisor position.
So moved. Support.
Is there any discussion on this one?
Julie is here.
We have Julie? Yes. Would you like to?
My question would be, I guess you've been trying for a while to fill this position at the lower level.
Yes, we have. It's, one of the requirements is to have experience working in a child caring institution. And one of our challenges is having somebody that has experience dealing with crisis situations. As you know, we've had our challenges out at the juvenile home. And so we get a lot of people with the college degree that want to come out there and work, but they don't have any experience working in a child caring institution, and they definitely don't have experience working with these type of situations. So we do have an internal candidate who has a lot of experience and has stepped up and has been really dealing with these situations in our facility.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's got 15 years experience, so, so he's yeah.
Okay, so you want to have the salary at $55,000 as opposed to the entry salary, correct?
Correct.
Not the first time we've had to do it. Probably not the last.
Any other questions? No. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. The finance, 2025 budget schedule.
I'll move the schedule.
Support.
Any questions on the schedule? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. And then we got Office of the Assigned Counsel, January report.
Will receive.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. And the February report.
Motion to, go ahead.
Motion to receive.
Support.
Or any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. Is there any referrals? Is there any unfinished business? Is there any new business? Amber, is there a need for closed session? Is there any miscellaneous? Is there any announcement? Oh, yes.
Today, I wanted to report back that the bonds were sold for the road
Okay.
commission bond projects. There were 11 bids, which is above the average, which is good for us. They were all within 0.15% of each other, so we think we got a good snapshot of where the market was today. We saved well over $500,000 by strong credit rating and good market conditions. So that happened today. It's all taken care of.
What kind of interest?
2.95 is the.
That's good.
Interest. Excellent for us.
We didn't have any money in Sunrise Federal Credit Union, did we?
Sad.
Got robbed.
Oh, again?
Thank you, Shauna.
Secure.
Is there any announcements?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.